The drum of crises is sounding again in Rivers State as the State House of Assembly began moves to impeach Governor Siminalayi Fubara. The Assembly, led by Honorable Martin Samawele, resumed plenary on Thursday instead of 26th of January as per his earlier decision. During plenary, presided over by Mawele, the Majority Leader, Major Jack, read out the notice of allegations and gross misconduct against Fubara. The Assembly accused the governor of changing the state's money into dollars and paying people from Abuja to influence President Bola Tinubu to prevail over the lawmakers not to summon him to present the 2025 budget before the Assembly. 26 members of the Assembly signed the notice, which they alleged was against the Nigerian Constitution. Now, with me to discuss this is President, Citizens Quest for Truth Initiative, Obiaruko Ndukwe, who is joining us from Zoom. Thank you so much for joining us, Obiaruko. It's good to have you on the show this evening.
Thank you, Mark.
Yes, happy New Year to you. Fantastic. And of course, I have with me in the studio right here, Executive Editor, TVC News, Kadila Dende. It's always a pleasure having to do this with you too.
Pleasure is mine here.
All right, I'll begin with you very quickly. Now, with what we are looking at, initially we thought there was a reconciliation on the table. The president intervened and everybody seemed like everything is back to normal. With the crisis that just erupted that we're witnessing now, are we back to square one?
I wish there's a word I can use that is worse than square one, because it wasn't this bad before. The kind of impeachment threat that was being signaled before now wasn't as thick as this. And make no mistake, this is not an empty threat. For those of us who have covered politics and who have studied politics over time, I think this is serious. The people are hungry. If time permits me, I could help you to paint us a picture of how angry those lawmakers were. You know, TVC, covered it live. And so it wasn't edited, it wasn't, we didn't try to play down anything,
no
we covered it live. So basically, this is a situation where the drums of war came back again. And so we were expecting the worst to happen.
Right.
What this means is that whatever peace deal, whatever state of emergency had done has been made, quite wasteful as it is. Because now they are going back to what happened when Supreme Court ruled. They are going back to what happened when the fight started. If you look at the list of the impeachment notice, all these things are listed there to let you know that, hey, whatever price we wanted to pay is not worth it. Let's go back to how angry we felt. We were not paid. We were denied salaries for more than a year. And these are issues that you don't take for granted.
Right.
That the issue of budget, I heard different arguments. Oh, the sole administrator had presented the budget and therefore that should suffice. The sole administrator stayed there for 6 months. What happened to subsequent months? What happened to what had happened before? When we were not wrong in any shape or form to be called lawmakers, because the court ruled that we were legitimate lawmakers. So won't you pay us our backlogs? These are issues that I feel the lawmakers exhibited on that day. And I want to believe that the governor should rather respond to
the cries of the
gross
people.
misconduct.
Okay.
Because I feel those things are legit. I'm not taking side.
Right.
From my understanding the situation, all those issues raised are very, very legit. Maybe one or two might be controversial,
right,
but a good number of the issues raised need answers.
All right, Obiaruko, very quickly, I can't allow myself to be buried politically. Reason why Fubara cannot get a second chance. Now, how complex is this statement with what we are expecting in the coming weeks or months?
Obviously, it's clear that there's a political crisis, like you said, but that is a reenacted one, a continuation of what we had in the past. And unfortunately, it looks like both sides didn't learn anything from the declaration of the state of emergency. And one begins to wonder what exactly was the essence of the state of emergency, because we thought that that would have been a period for the two parties, to sit together and agree on how to move the state forward without all this going back and forth. And of course, well, politically, politicians make statements, and there's no leader, there's no relevant politician without a structure. And when your structure is being threatened, definitely you want to do everything you can to fight back. And well, that statement probably is born out of the actions and inactions of the state governor. It's obvious that things are not going very well. The crack is getting deeper, and maybe somebody is fighting back. Well, it's for us to see how the governor intends to come out of this situation, because the last time the president intervened, and I think the only delayed the rainy day, and unfortunately, we are back to the basics. We are back to ground zero, and somebody said like square one. So it all depends on how the governor himself also intends to fight. But don't forget that he has defected to the APC, even though we're still waiting for the official ceremony. And then what it means is that he will probably be protected by the APC. But again, being a member of the APC does not confer on you that power not to be, impeached if there are issues. So I think that we should be looking at the allegations, made against the governor by the State Assembly. And if you look at it closely, they're just like the same thing with what happened the last time before the Supreme Court also agreed with the State Assembly that there were issues that the governor was also making some infractions, operating without a budget, and then also without a legitimate assembly, as well as appropriation, without recourse to the assembly. So these are great issues that also need to be looked at. So okay. I do not think because you belong to the ruling party, you will sweep these things under the carpet. I think that the right thing needs to be done. The constitution needs to be respected, and all parties also need to adhere to the provisions of the constitution. So politics, they will play, they will fight. In the end, we will see who wins.
Okay, fine. Before we move on for the break, she said something. Now, we wait to see how Fubara gets out of this. Now, if we are going to experience any kind of peace in Rivers State currently, is it entirely going to be on Fubara's table to make that happen? Or should warring factions come to a truce again and for us to experience that peace we're looking for?
When it comes to conflict resolution, your business is how you will stoop to see what will happen. You saw the issue of Lukman. Sorry, I have to go into sport. Yeah. You saw what Lukman did to Victor. He had to say, hey, nothing happened on the field. That was a lot of maturity. So Victor had to, also bend down. That's to let you know that it depends whether these guys can be assuaged, whether they can trust him this time around. But the honest
state crisis right here. And Obiarako, very quickly, from what we are experiencing now with what we are seeing, do you think that there's going to be any kind of olive branch extended by any warring faction to actually cause some kind of a reprieve with what we're experiencing at the moment in Rivers State? And if there will be any, who should actually take that lead? Do you think the current governor has that emotional intelligence to even foster any kind of, peace at the moment?
Well, there's nothing wrong with any of the parties opening an olive branch, but the truth is that, the people need to, I think there's a crisis of confidence here now. Will the people trust the governor again? This is not the first time we have seen him renege on agreements made and all that. So I think that even the State Assembly and the other faction, of course, the wicked group, are also not very comfortable. They may not want to trust him again and believe that even if he goes into any agreement with them, that he's going to live up to the expectations and all that. So it's really, really big. And in fact, this issue is even beyond just the two factions. It's about Rivers State. You can't move the state forward with impunity and with lawlessness and without adhering to the provisions of the Constitution. That's just the truth of the matter. It doesn't matter how anybody wants to look at it. Nobody is asking these questions. What the Assembly is saying about gross violation of the Constitution and all that, is that what the governor has done? Are those allegations true? And of course, if the allegations are true, what we are saying is that the Supreme Court judgment, of 2025 comes into play here. And I don't know how he's going to come out of it. If he's going to offer an olive branch, then he must be seen to conform with whatever peace agreements that they have. The issues are very clear. I don't think they are asking for money for themselves, personal, whatever. I think they're asking for what is constitutionally right to be done. You can't operate without a budget. There's no supplementary budget after the state of emergency for you to continue to run beyond now. There's no extension of that budget into 2026, and there's no presentation of the budget, what you intend to do. And we're also talking of appointments being made, the commissioners and the rest of them. Instead of you to have a proper state executive council, we have people acting in acting capacity and all that. So these are some of the issues. I think that it's a very simple thing. If the governor he doesn't even need to offer an only branch, what he needs to do is just to go and do the right thing. And the moment he does that, these things, there will be peace. But once an impeachment notice is served, is for the right authorities, to look into it and then see what the allegations are, and then see if truly the governor has committed those. If you can't award contracts to people or to companies without recourse to the budget, there's no provisional budgetary provisions for all those jobs that have been awarded currently since its return. And I'm aware that some jobs are actually being done right now. It's not about the ones that were awarded before the state of emergency. So these are some of the issues. And if they agreed on something when you get, I don't know the details because there's a lot of falsehood everywhere. People are spreading all manner of lies and they're cooking up all manner of agreements. But I think what is important to us is that it adheres to the Constitution and be wary of the judgment of the Supreme Court. I want to just tell us something here. The Supreme Court gave its judgment. It does not mean that because there is a state of emergency, that judgment cannot be enforced. No, it does not mean. Even if it's after 6 months or 1 year, they can still continue. And if he has given them the reason to go ahead, well, they will do so. But again, if he is wise, and like you said, he has emotional intelligence to do the right thing, I think we can just forget about this issue and do the right thing and move the state forward, not with impunity and lawlessness.
Thank you very much. Now, Kadi, very quickly, she said something now. She said, look at all the impunities listed, the irregularities, the inadequacies on the part of the governor. But when you look at the public sentiment, it's always tilting towards Wike having a stronghold on the state, not allowing governors to foster in the state, and the public sentiment is actually building. But nobody's looking at the irregularities that Fubara has committed, all of this, to actually warrant this, emergence of an impeachment trying to take the center stage. So how do we bring, this particular situation to a control to get the people to understand that, look, the governor is the one at fault here. He's the one breaching the Constitution here.
Basically, you look at the word you use, public sentiment. Yes, the public sentiment is, there is a man called Wike, he's overbearing, he doesn't want to forget the fact that he's no longer the governor. Yeah. Whatever it is, maybe he's just very loud about his own. There are a lot of things who happen. There's hardly any state where the former governor doesn't still want to wield his or power on the incumbent. But what we're staying with is the law. What we're staying with is the issues raised. None of them was mentioned that you refuse to respect your predecessor. There is nothing like that. That's not a violation of the Constitution. We're looking at what is in the law, what is right and what is wrong.
So do you think Fubara understands?
The public sentiment, if you want me to answer it politically, it's just to say that the same game that brought Fubara on the table, because the public probably didn't know who Fubara was. It was the same man who brought him. So why are we interfering in their matter? It's like the case of a husband and a wife. So let them sort it. If you guys were friends before, if you're a father and a son, and something went wrong, sort out your issues. But if the public wants to take side, it's unfortunate that we can't tell the public where to stand. But what is really, particular is the ground of the law, and that's what the governor should attend to.
All right, Obiarako, quickly, before we go to our final topic, from what you see through the body language of Governor Fubara at the moment, do you think he's going all-out war, not realizing he has a government to handle before the next election?
Oh, yeah, unfortunately for the governor, I am also in sympathy with him because I think he's found new friends in the wrong quarters. people who want to also take advantage of the crisis again, to dip their hands into the river's pockets. And I think that's what's actually going on. They are giving him the impression he can actually run this thing without his political godfather and leader, Wike. Well, people are also coming up with the fact that, oh, you are in APC now, Wike is in PDP and all that. But under the renewed family of the renewed political agenda, I think it's a combination of what they call the Rainbow Coalition, both PDP and APC in the state. So apparently, they all belong to the same political family, serving the same interest. Unfortunately, maybe one person wants to also show that I can actually run this without the other, while the other believes that we can do these things together. So for me, the governor can just go back to his roots and get this thing sorted out once and for all, and forget about people I am still referred to as medicine interlopers who were not part of the regional process. Let him not be deceived by those who keep giving him the impression that he will get the protection he needs. As we are moving to the next phase of the elections, everybody is going to be facing their own local politics, and nobody is going to be interested to come and deliver in your own state. So I think that what he needs to prove the point is that I can actually be a governor and be in control, and then make sure that we do what we need to do.
Thank you very much. All right, let's move on to our last topic of the night.